If we were friends and by mistake you told me something, might end our friendship. So.
Not your first time here in Brazil. How does it feel to be back?
I love Brazil. It's always been a place that I've just felt, very at home here. The energy and the people so friendly. Because the United States is really kind of, I'm an immigrant there, even though I lived there most of my life, but I was born in India. I always feel strangely more at home when I travel, So, I look like you guys. I feel like, so I feel at home here.
And I gotta tell you that I watched Signs for the first time when I was a kid, and the scene with the alien in Brazil haunted me and a lot of people for a long time. So I see great potential for a movie set here in Brazil.
Definitely. I shot a little part of a movie here in Brazil, but I ended up cutting it. It was for Glass, my movie Glass. So I came here and I shot a scene at the end of Glass, but I ultimately cut it. But I had such a wonderful time shooting it. So one day, I think it'll happen.
Yeah, please. And do you remember the first movie you watched that blew your mind or that impacted you more deeply?
It's funny, I think that it sounds kind of boring, but when I saw Star Wars, I was 7. I was 7 and I remember kind of having this feeling of religion. I'm not a very religious guy, in fact I'm not religious, but I understand what people feel about religion when I saw Star Wars. Later in life, when I was an adult, I got to meet George Lucas, and it was just, amazing.
Thinking of that, from the beginning of your career until now with rap, do you feel it got more challenging or harder to surprise people, to scare the audience?
No, I don't think of it like that. It's just something that draws me. My relationship to the stories, I aspire to have an author relationship with them, like a literary author. So, Stephen King just writes another book, and he has an idea, and he sits in the morning and he writes another book. He works from 8 a.m. till noon every day, and that's what he does every day. And I want that for myself, and I have done that. Where now I've just finished Trap, and I just started opening up a notebook for the next one. So when I get home after traveling, I'll start at 8:30 in the morning and just start writing the next one. The relationship should be between us and the characters, and all of this stuff, thinking about what people want or what's working or whether they want this or whether that shouldn't be as much in your head as I want to find out what happens to these characters.
Any word you can say about future projects?
I think I know the next 3 movies, so after Trap. So because I did a couple movies that were based on other people's material. I did a movie called Old, based on a graphic novel, and then I did a movie called Knock at the Cabin, which was based on a book. And so that kind of pushed out my ideas a little bit. So I'm a little behind on my ideas, so I'm very excited. I love like Trap was something that popped into my head, and I was very excited about it. And so the idea of doing these quirky, original movies, it's what makes me so happy. So at least I have 3 more ideas, so we'll see.
And about Trap first, how is it to direct a pop star concert who happens to be your daughter? Like, did you guys have any references to it?
Well, Saleka's a musician, so it came kind of backwards. It came from, watching her, and she would open for other people around the world and in the United States, and we would go around tour. And then I have friends that are musicians, and I'd be backstage watching them, and in their trailers before and after, and got to know this life a lot. And I was like, wow, this could be a really cool setting for a movie at some point. And then Saleka and I spoke about, hey, what if you wrote an album for a movie?
Yes.
We could set a thriller. It was amazingly challenging to direct a concert, because it's a real concert. That everything, it's real. We could put it on right now. It's a real concert. Every choreography, the costumes, why we picked this, what are the images on the screens in the background. I'm live directing what's happening in the concert. Like, there's 3 cameras, and I'll go, camera 2, zoom in faster, and there'll be another person who's telling all the camera operators, and then I jump in and say, no, hold. Wait for Saleka to stand up, wait for her to stand up, and I'm doing that while the film cameras are going, recording Josh and everyone. So it was a really interesting challenge. When I met Josh, the thing that I wanted to have for the actor who was playing him is that I would love him, that he would genuinely be sweet and charming, and that you would root for him.
Yes.
Because the movie is the wicked thing about the movie is I make you identify with this man before I tell you what he's done.
Yes.
And even after I tell you what he's done, you're still rooting for him because he's so lovable.
Yeah. And how do you think Cooper would get along in Unbreakable universe?
I mean, pretty great. I mean, a lot of times I think of characters like, obviously Kevin Wendell Crumb in Split and Glass is in that world of Unbreakable. But these characters, they pop into my head like origin stories, Sometimes, I feel like I could just do a whole series, like a Marvel series with just characters that pop into my head. Well, in this case, I don't want to say too much, but the structure of the movie kind of unfolds on you as you're going, and as it unfolds with the main character. So you're kind of reverse telling the story of what the actual story is in this movie, and I enjoyed that the unflowering of it working backwards, to tell you what this movie actually was.
Speaking of spoilers, like, have you ever in your life gave a spoiler like by accident or got a movie spoiled to you?
It's funny you should say that because I am maniacal about this. So if we were friends and by mistake you told me something, it might end our friendship. So it's like, and everyone knows this, so I would be like, oh no, that's cool that you just said that. And then you would never hear from me.
I would never.
You would be ghosted by that point. Text would not get returned.
I would never do it. I never. I would like to take this spoiler moment to go back a little to Sixth Sense and ask you, when did you realize that you had written one of the most iconic lines in history?
That's funny. It's kind of a little bit of a mixture of things when we say that. One is, it's the instinct, I guess, when I was 25, when I was writing it, that somebody says what the story is. Somebody says what the story, this whole plot of the movie. And even now, if you fast forward to Trap, there's a guy who tells Josh, right, the vendor, who says, this whole concert is a trap, for the serial killer. So for example, it's interesting how we can use those two things. So the character Jamie in Trap, who says that, he says it with humor and like gleefulness, like joy, like, isn't that great? And he's telling the killer that they trapped the killer. Now go back to the first time I did it with I See Dead People. It isn't just that he said it and the things that I just said, but the way he said it, how he said it, really kind of shook everyone. Yes. And so it's that combination of all these, but just the right human beings saying it just the right way. That's the magic of movies.
I see dead people.
And it's impossible to talk about this movie without remembering your work with Bruce Willis. And when he announced his retirement, a lot of fans felt it very much. So for you, what is his legacy as an actor?
He's my big brother. So, I don't think any of this would have happened without his protection and belief in me, when I was a kid. I got to be kind of free, like an auteur from the beginning because of him. So he's the one that said, hey, I believe in this kid, nobody touches him, that kind of thing. So everyone will leave him alone. So then I was underneath him in that way. And he did that for me. He did that for Quentin on Pulp Fiction. He did it, he's worked with, Luc Besson in Fifth Element, gave him an international stage. He worked with, Wes Anderson and so many people. He believes in us. There's a part of him that just loves cinema, was a big advocate for all of us.
I want to go back to my first question about a movie set here in Brazil, because I gotta tell you that, like you, we are specialists in plot twists in real life. So we have a story that I would like to know. How could you imagine a movie about it? It's called The Pregnant Lady from Taubaté. Have you ever heard of that? It's a woman who showed up on TV, like pregnant with 4 babies, and people start to donate money, diapers, and everything to help her. Plot twist, the belly was fake, and little is known about her now. How about a movie about that?
Wow. And that was a whole famous thing here?
It's the most famous case we have.
Wow.
How could you imagine a movie?
Oh my gosh, I'll have to think about it on, how I think about these things. You can't think about it directly. Like, you can't look at the sun directly. You have to kind of let it sit there, and then you go, I wonder why would she do this? What was the rationale? And did she realize that it was gonna work? And who is the family members who know her? And then when I start doing that, something will go click as I'm like not thinking about it directly, but it's there. So right before you go to bed, or you're talking to someone and having a coffee, and then I drift off and they know I'm not there anymore. And then I'll be like, oh my gosh, I know why she did this. It has to come like organically
I
like that.
It. Yeah. I want to watch it.
So now we'll see if maybe I'll be in, promoting Trap somewhere, and then it'll come to me.
I hope so. And you remember me, please.
Yes, I will. You'll get the text.
And just to finish here, I feel I should tell you, how do you say plot twist in Portuguese? Do you know that?
No, I don't.
It's reviravolta.
I see. Good to know.